Hi, I'm Simon Hartley.
And I'm Helen Martin.
Welcome back to Pep Talks. This is one of our little fireside chats between Helen and I, and we're going to pick up some of the really key issues that we've been talking to business leaders about over the past couple of weeks. One of these that started to surface recently, I've seen, is the question of how do we start to reintegrate and re-engage our people, our teams, even our suppliers and our customers. Because it's not going to happen all at once. It's quite a complex issue, but how do we start to do that? What have you seen recently?
Well, I think what I've seen is that businesses have to transform themselves. Like we've done that several times, really, over history and over the course of the last 100 years. But now, at the moment, we have to transform ourselves quickly. We hadn't planned on this. So you're absolutely correct. How do you keep people are the foundations of your company? And at the moment, you have a lot of people working remotely, and we set them up with the technology they needed and got them productive. But now that feeling of isolation, the worry about the COVID-19, I think now is a time where we have to step back and say, how do you reintegrate them into the company and how do you keep them connected? I mean, some people, as the business, as we get into the second quarter, we hope that there is a surge again of business coming in, and then we have to respond to that. But we also have to work out how that looks like for our people in buildings. There's a huge amount around it to keep them safe. That's a health and safety is your prime concern for them and for your business. So I think leaders are having a huge issue around this. When is the right time to bring people back? At what level do you bring them back? How quickly? And then also, how do you manage those hybrid teams? So you're going to have remote workers and people in your office working perhaps on different schedules. We've got to remember, because there are some issues, that they have to at home with, children, and I shouldn't say issues, but children and other things that might disrupt that. So you have to have teams working at different schedules, perhaps on the same task, and then coming together to get the best result. And that takes a little bit of organization and management and just making sure they're supported in that. So it's a different level of management, I think, when they come back in.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've been chatting to leaders about the value of clarity, confidence, and purpose. And whether we're bringing lots of people back very quickly, whether we're bringing a few back, whether we've got hybrid teams, it doesn't really matter. As long as we've got some real clarity, we've got a plan, we've got clarity in the plan, and we can communicate that to people so that they're clear about what we're going to do, even if it's only over a short period of time, even if it's only over the next few weeks. We've got real clarity about what our plan is, and people know what they need to do.
Yes, yeah.
And we've got confidence in that plan, not that it'll bring us all the outcomes we're after, but that it's a really well thought out plan, and that there's real purpose in what we're asking people to do as well. Because I think one of the dangers, one of the potential pitfalls that people could fall into is bringing people back, but not really understanding why and what we're asking them to do, and that there's some purpose behind it. Because just keeping people busy is not going to be particularly productive. I think it will probably do more harm than good, to be honest. People really need to be engaged in something that they understand is purposeful. So I've been talking to business leaders about really understanding the clarity, the confidence, and the purpose, and starting to communicate those out. And that it doesn't have to start when people literally walk back into the building. You need this in place now, even if you've got a large proportion of your people who are furloughed and might still be for a few weeks. You've still got the opportunity to create clarity, confidence, and purpose, so that everybody knows essentially where they stand and where we're going and what we're trying to achieve.
Yes, and I think, your purpose should be the same. You came into 2020 with a purpose, whether it's a personal or a business, and that should stay the same. And I think you've got to keep people engaged in that. And I mean, absolutely, this can change. We may have several times during this year where it changes, and we have to adapt quickly, and we have to be agile in it. But communication is key. And I think really where businesses will come out of this with the fabric of their business together, as we've spoken about before, is if they communicate correctly. And they have got to use the digital tools to do that. And I'm not sure that everyone has that right yet, but it is hugely important. We've talked about this. You cannot just digitize your relationship between your customer. That's hugely important, of course, but you have to do it with your employees while they're furloughed, or the ones that are coming back into the business. They need to feel connected, and they need to understand that that hasn't changed, and that you're still, your mission, your vision, your culture, they're the things that you've worked hard. They're the fabric of your business. Keep them and keep communicating that, you mightn't have the answer, but what you want to do is serve your customer in the best way you can possibly do that. And how are you going to do that? And that's the mindset. When we talk about a growth mindset, people think it's about finding a new, innovative way of moving forward or doing something different. But actually, it's about being creative in this space in how you communicate and how you give your customer the best journey that you can during this time. They may not be purchasing at the moment, but they will. And you want to make sure their customer journey is 10 times better than your competitor, because that's what they're going to remember at the moment. And you've got to support them. So that means supporting your employees to be able to make good decisions and to be, I think the way we manage teams is always very important, and especially during a crisis. Your teams, your customers will remember that experience. They will remember how they felt. And that's within our control, whether they're furloughed, coming back, they have to go back out again, whatever that is, as long as they feel that you have their best interests at heart and that you are securing the business for them to come back to. That's really powerful. That's your purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's true of suppliers and partners and all sorts of people. And I've been reflecting on the power of engaging people through great questions. And I've seen lots of business leaders they've had people furloughed, but they've kept them really engaged because they've been talking to them about where the business is, what their thoughts are, but also asking, what are your thoughts on this? What are you seeing? What would you suggest? What's your opinion? And therefore they're keeping them sort of mentally and emotionally really engaged in that journey. They're also, when the decisions are made, lots of businesses I see communicating the decision. So we'll tell you what we've decided, but we won't necessarily communicate why we decided it, the kinds of things we were looking at, what we were trying to achieve, etc. I think there's a real opportunity right now to also communicate why. So we can ask people, we can consult them, we can get their opinions, we can make decisions, and also communicate this is why we've decided to do X or Y. This is our thinking behind it, so that everybody does have confidence in the plan. I've chatted to a couple of businesses recently, and one of the trapdoors that they know exists that they don't really want to fall down is that they could start trading too quickly. And because whenever they trade, it has a draw on cash in the short term. If they start trading very, very quickly, actually, they create a danger, a cash danger zone. So they're talking to their people about, we do want to get trading, but actually we need to turn the tap on quite slowly so that we don't run out of cash in the short term. So rather than just flinging the doors open and saying, everybody charge back in again, we need to do this in a fairly stepwise way. And because people understand that, they're not asking, well, why did they make that decision? They understand it. They understand that it's good for the business and that that's the way that they create, sustainable success. So people are more likely to buy into being the second wave that come back in, or the third wave, and not expecting to be in the first wave. So I think that's a critical part of it. And it's also true of suppliers, customers, etc. I think there's a real opportunity to start properly engaging people through communication right now.
Yeah, and I think too, actually, there's a huge point in that when you're talking to people who are worried about their cash flow, and there is that balance actually that we have to be aware of, that you've got to create the need and the want and in the marketplace. We have to get back, that's what's going to be hugely important as the year goes on, as we go into the third quarter. And how you do that is again around that communication and support. So, maybe extended payment terms for your customer, and kind of looking at that across the board. We've kind of looked at kind of how do you collect cash in this? How do you then, create that opportunity for other people to be able to continue working and maybe protect their cash flow for their business, just, paying their staff and whatever. And I think the governments have done an incredible role in helping. So the confidence level is probably quite high there, which is great. But also we need to be more inventive in how we get our businesses going. And that's regardless of what you're selling or what you're doing. You've got to become completely customer centric and make sure that you are listening in listening mode, whether that's your employees or your customers. And I think they're all, for any business leader, they are equally important. They are the fabric of your business. So listen to them and see what you can do, and become that ecosystem around them to get them moving. If we all help each other to get moving again, it'll be a wonderful result.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where I think that idea of how we engage people spreads beyond just the team of people we employ. I mean, I ask businesses a lot. I do lots of kind of world-class teams workshops and sessions. And one of the questions I ask at the beginning is, who is your team? And classically, of course, people describe their organizational chart and think that that's the team. And I say, well, that wouldn't be my view of our team. I think that's quite a blinkered view, a restricted view. When I think about our team, so at Be World Class, our team is me and Caroline on the organizational chart. But it can't be the extent of our team, because we can't be successful if that's the extent of our team. So I sort of define our team as all of those people who contribute to our success or who could contribute to our failure. So now I start to understand that our team includes lots of people we don't employ. Mm-hmm. Lots of people who classically would probably be called suppliers, but I think of them as partners. And if we're going to get the very best out of them, and we've got a project, so when we create, we've got a digital program called Be World Class TV. When we create Be World Class TV, we've got lots of people who are suppliers in a classic sense, but I need them to understand the purpose of what we're trying to achieve, not just what we're trying to achieve, but why it's important and the impact it will make. And really get them to understand that. In my view, I want them to think that this is probably the most important project they're working on. The video editors edit lots of bits of video down, but this is a special project. This is going to have a real impact on lots of people's lives. And the video and the web designer does lots of web design work, but this is a different project. This is special. And so they really understand the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. And if we can match that with a really clear plan so that everybody knows what we're trying to do, and that there's real confidence that when we do this, we're going to achieve success, then I think we can really engage that team. And so when we think about our suppliers and our partners and our customers and even the bank manager and all of those people that support us in what we do, our professional advisors, that they're all part of our team. When we start really communicating properly and engaging people in our purpose, then it has, in my experience, a real magnetic effect and pulls people in.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the thing, actually, isn't it? Working together, we keep hearing that radio ad, we're in this together. And we are, and as businesses we are, and I mean, a business is a community, and that's exactly what you're describing there. To me, it's a community. It's not just, the people in your business, it's the people outside. And I think that's, you've got to protect that community and support each other in it. And I think regarding staff, the other point that we've kind of heard a lot about this week and the last couple of weeks is that now that people have got used to working from home, and, we talked about that, the commute and no travel, that's great, you get some time back. But actually that feeling of isolation can be quite worrying for them. And then they have the worry of COVID-19 on top of that. But a lot of people like the social interaction that an office provides, and they like the routine that an office provides. So if we can create a bit of that for them, I think that would be helpful. And I think that idea of community is where I've seen a wonderful example on LinkedIn recently of a company who'd reached out. They'd listened to one of the pep talks, and the guy had reached out to me, and I just had a quick look, and they had created this kind of community for their employees online where they were sharing recipes and different things, and actually it seemed like fun. I looked at that company, I thought, oh my gosh, that's fun, they're interesting. And I think that's like a huge, powerful message, because they're still involved in each other's lives. So I think we have to kind of look at that and grow those communities. And as you say, whether they're our suppliers, our customers, whoever it is, just figure a way be creative in that, figure a way. And the digital technology that we have at our fingertips is incredible for this, actually. But figure a way and try and think of some way of connecting with them and keeping them close to your business, and being honest in it, actually. Being honest in what you're worried about and what this week looks like. Every week we get a different news feed that kind of explains what the government are doing next, or those steps out of it. And I think they're very positive. They're very positive steps at the moment that we're seeing. That, workplaces, if you can go back to work in a safe environment, do that. And, have faith in the business leaders, that they are making the best decisions and they are abiding by the World Health Organization's rules, and that'll get it all moving again, I think, as long as we're very safe in it and protect our community as well.
Absolutely. And there are so many elements to the health question and creating a really healthy business. And obviously making sure that it's a physically healthy space is great. It's got to be financially healthy. But as we've been talking about for a while, the relationships are critical. Yeah. The health of our relationships are absolutely critical to the health of the business. And if we've got healthy suppliers and we've got healthy customers and we've got healthy relationships with our staff and all the rest of it, the business is going to be a lot stronger. I picked up and reused a quote that I've been sort of picking up and reusing for years and years the other day. A rising tide floats all boats or lifts all boats. I think it was a John F. Kennedy quote. And it's that idea that if we can help our clients, if we can help our people, our own team, if we can help our suppliers, help our professional advisors, help whoever, we create a healthy environment around us. And therefore, if they're all healthy, the likelihood is we're going to be. If they're all unhealthy and struggling, well, we're probably going to as well. So it's like you say, that community, building that community allows all of those different parts of your business, the extended parts of your business, to become an awful lot healthier, which in turn, I think, serves you very well too.
For sure. Yeah. And you're going to come out of this stronger. I mean, I think that's the thing. What are we going to learn from this? We're going to learn that we can adapt quickly. That, I mean, whoever thought, like at the beginning of this year, that we could have our teams working from remotely at home, set up, the technology is there. I think we've learned a huge amount around this, and actually a huge amount around resilience. And I think the other part of this is, perhaps connecting your teams in pairs, giving them an opportunity, maybe working with someone in the company that they haven't worked with before and understanding what they're doing. And that could be like quite an interesting exercise, because everyone could see what you're, we tend to do use our processes that are created for a reason, to keep us productive. But, that doesn't mean that they couldn't be improved upon or whatever. So this is a time where you could take that opportunity to have people work in pairs. And that could be a great way of getting some insights into how you're doing things and how to improve on them, that normally you wouldn't have time to do. And, I think we've talked about this kind of quite a bit, using this technology, not just for your business meetings, but to try and connect people on a personal level. I think that is, and to, there are going to be little successes along the way, and sharing those in that environment is still hugely important, the way you would normally, normally at a board meeting, whatever you talk about, a good quarter, and everything should still be shared, because they are what, that's that feel good factor. That's like that belonging and celebrating coming back out of it. And keep looking at the long game. The long game is that we will get out of this and we will be ready to rebuild. And that is, that's the vision. Your vision is still there. Your purpose is still there. And be true to it, actually. Be true to it and still believe in it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think as we look at how we really reintegrate people and re-engage people, great communication around clarity, around confidence, and around purpose, and the understanding that these relationships are critical, and that if we invest into those relationships, and we're talking about the whole team, not just the people we employ, but the whole team, if we get that bit right, we're likely to really integrate our team. We could even come out of this with a tighter team at the end of it than we went in, is one of the real opportunities.
I believe so. Huge opportunity to do that now. We have time. We definitely have time. More time than ever to communicate and do it correctly. And We had some wonderful tips from Dominic last week on that communication level, and absolutely worth a watch and sharing with teams, because that energy, you've got to bring more energy to these Zoom calls, as we know. And that's important, actually. That is important, especially if you are a leader of a business. You've got to bring that energy.
Yeah.
Everybody feeds off that, actually, and thrives on it.
Absolutely. So talking about energy and inspiration and positivity, who have we got coming up over the next couple of weeks or the next week or so to look forward to on Pep Talks?
So we have Dr. Todd Dewitt back again. So Todd is energy personified.
Yeah.
And we have Sarah Frasca. And then I have somebody else very exciting that I won't mention until I have them completely signed up. And you have a couple of people as well that I know you've invited along.
Absolutely. So I've invited Penny Power, OBE. She was a co-founder of eAcademy. They were the world's very first social network. So she's been involved in extreme innovation, extreme disruption. She created the first social network 4 years before LinkedIn existed. So we're really, really excited to chat to Penny. So we've got some fantastic people coming up. Helen, thank you very much, as always.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you on another episode of Pep Talks. Take care.